Republicans are so prone to simplistic thinking, particularly when it leans on violence as a solution to everything. But Republican legislators in Kentucky are promoting a piece of legislation called the Safer Kentucky Act, which sounds just great. Hey, safe Kentucky, don't we want safe Kentucky? What this law says is that if a homeless person walks onto your property, causing you to believe that they may be, quote, trying to dispossess your property, end quote, you may kill them. You may kill them. Physical force against homeless people is justifiable if a property owner believes that criminal trespass, robbery, or unlawful camping are occurring on their property. Additionally, quote, deadly physical force can be justified if the property owner believes a homeless person is trying to dispossess them of their property. It's amazing. The National Homeless Law Center, the senior policy director is a fellow by the name of Eric Tars, and he said this is teeing up vigilantism against people experiencing homelessness on a scale that we've never seen before. It's a really concerning escalation. Vice News did a whole story about this, and they noted that the bill appears to be based on the Libertarian Cicero Institute think tank that has been pushing legislation targeting homeless people all across the country. How about instead of targeting homeless people, we target homelessness? I mean, there's a reason why people are living on the streets. There is mental illness, there's drug addiction, and then, of course, there's the fact that many people in America just cannot afford a place to live. Affordable housing is gone. I mean, is under attack, and it's largely under attack, as Mark Pocan pointed out the first hour of this program. It's largely under attack from New York hedge funds, from these giant billion-dollar corporations out of New York City that are buying up hundreds of thousands of homes all across the United States, perhaps millions, buying these homes, particularly distressed properties. But now they're even buying just regular old houses going up for sale, and then turning them into rental properties. And as they turn them into rental properties, the housing stock that's available to buy shrinks, and the prices start going up. It's driving up the price of housing, which is driving up the price of rents, which is driving up homelessness. I mentioned this yesterday, this amazing Zillow study that I wrote about a year ago or so, finding that when the average cost of rental for housing in a community exceeds 34% of the average income, after-tax income of that community, then homelessness starts to appear. And as the number goes up from 34% to 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40% of the average median income in the region, or average income in the region, homelessness goes up as well. It's a very simple equation. This is not rocket science. We need to build housing, affordable housing for people. And we need to do something about protecting the housing stock we have from overseas investors using our housing, which should be something that has to do with basic human rights, using our housing as pure investments, from big corporations, like I pointed out, these big hedge funds out of New York, using housing as investments. Housing should not be, outside of the individual homeowner, housing should not be an investment. It should be what we use to live in. And it used to be. I mean, most of this stuff really started in 2008. Because there was about a 20% drop in the cost of housing and the value of housing across the United States because of that giant crash that was a result of the deregulation of 1999 of the big banks. And I believe it was J.P. Morgan Chase, it might have been Goldman Sachs. One of the big banks issued this white paper in 2008 that basically said this housing crash is a golden opportunity. Anybody who's sitting on a couple $1 billion should be buying all the housing they can right now, because it's never going to be this cheap ever again. And housing can not only appreciate in value like any good investment, but it also spins off cash every single month in the form of rent. You don't get that if you buy gold. You don't get that if you buy stocks. Well, sometimes you get dividends, but not always. This This is real stuff. I mean, real investable stuff, and it should be protected. And there are some states that are starting to look at this. Ironically, in Florida, Ron DeSantis has blocked Chinese investors from investing in Florida. I mean, he's done it in the way that was like maximally racist. And, you know, to try to appeal to the MAGA crowd, he thought he could out-racist Donald Trump. I'm sorry, that's just not possible, as Ron DeSantis discovered. But doing something about this housing crisis, instead of what these Republicans in Kentucky want to do, which is to make it legal for you to shoot a homeless person if they walk on your land, on your property, in your front yard, doing something about homelessness itself, undoing Reagan's shutting down of the mental hospitals all across America, which were largely funded with tax dollars, which is why Reagan wanted to shut them down. He didn't want billionaires to have to pay for that. Of course, you know, when he came into office, billionaires are paying 74% income taxes. Right now, they're paying 3% income taxes, thanks to having, you know, bought a whole bunch of Republican politicians over the years. So number one, we need to deal with, you know, homelessness and housing stock. Number two, we need to deal with mental illness. And number three, we need to deal with drug addiction. All of these things are relatively straightforward in terms of solutions. The problem is all of those solutions involve government action and tax dollars. And Republicans, in order to protect the tax breaks of the billionaires, do not want to spend a penny on anything that might help average Americans, or in particular, poor or homeless Americans. And it's just a tragedy.